We're gonna be replacing the valve cover gaskets. Let's do it. All right, let's start by taking off our engine cover. Right here in the front, there should be 3 little locks. We wanna turn those 90 degrees. Pop it up, and then there'll be 2 little grommets in the back. Just give it a good wiggle, and it should pop right out, just like that. The intake manifold does have to be removed, so let's start disconnecting things. We'll start with this hose and work our way in this direction. Take the hose clamp off, just with a pair of pliers. For this one, I'm just gonna use a flat screwdriver, kind of push on it from the inside and just pop it away. There we go. We'll get this back one back here. So we'll just do the same thing. Let me move the camera around. Got our electrical connector right here. Pop that off. It's just a pinch and pull. This hose up top, pull that off. Just push on it. We got a little hose and bracket here. We'll just take the bracket off, 10 millimeter. And I'll just put the bolt back so we don't lose it. You can disconnect this up here. Just pinch and pull. And then we'll pull it out of its little retainer, just like that. Our purge solenoid in the back, because we have this hose disconnected here, we'll just disconnect it right here, 10 millimeter. And this whole thing should be free, and then we don't have to worry about it. We can disconnect our intake boot. It's either an 8 millimeter, a Phillips, or a flat, whichever one you got. And on this side, it should just pop off. Just give it a good wiggle. There we go. And we got this little hose here. We'll just take the clamp off, like that. And we should be able to just kind of wiggle it out. Now hold on to the clamp so you don't drop it as this comes off. Wiggle, wiggle. There we go. Our purge solenoid has one more 10 millimeter underneath it. We have our coolant hose here. We can disconnect. You can either disconnect it from this metal pipe or from the throttle body, whichever is easiest for you. I think this metal pipe will do me just fine. I'm gonna use that little angled pick just to get in between the hose and the pipe. That'll just help break it free. There we go. A little bit of coolant will come out. I think the last thing over here is just our throttle body connector. Again, pinch and pull off. Might have to wiggle it if it hasn't come off in a long time. Sometimes they're nice and stuck, but it is just pinch. There we go. Okay, let's double check, make sure we got everything. There is one more coolant hose on the bottom. I think that'll be easier to get. Once our manifold is unbolted, we'll kind of just flip it over and we'll get that last hose. Before we pull off our bolts, we'll go ahead, either take an air hose or a vacuum. I like a vacuum, so all that dust's not kicked up in the air. And we'll just vacuum this really good first so we don't get any dirt or grit inside. Now we have this top plate to take off. They're all 10 millimeter bolts. So I'll just take a little screwdriver. They give you a spot, there's a little lip in a few places. Just pop up on it. This one's not really stuck, so perfect. Comes right up. We'll take our gasket off so we don't hurt it. Slowly pop it up. Now if yours is really stuck, you can just leave it, but there we go. And we'll just wipe this off really good before reinstalling it. Now we can remove the bolt holding on our upper manifold. There is a sequence for removing this. The manual had you go from the outside to the inside. And they should all be 12 millimeter. There's 2 over in this little channel, and then the rest are in this main body. Because we're tipping this over, I'm just gonna take all the bolts and the 2 nuts out. Well, that's not gonna work. Because the studs where the 2 nuts went are a little too tall, we have to pull that hose off first. So that's a bummer. So go ahead and tackle that. The clamp is just faced in the wrong direction. So I'm just taking a screwdriver to twist it a little so I can get my pliers on it. And I'll just take my pliers, just like all the other hoses. Not too bad. Okay, lift up and out. Okay, same thing, I'm just gonna vacuum around here. Take off our gasket. So we don't drop anything in the intake, we're just gonna put some rags inside. Let's tackle the front cover first. Got our ignition coils, we'll just unplug. Should be pinch and pull. There we go. Our harness bracket, 10 millimeter. We have this little green harness retainer. We'll just take a pair of pliers right in the back of it, pinch it together, and it will pop right out. Just like that. That'll give us a little more room just to flex this around. We'll do the same right over here. There we go. This little wire here is attached in another place down below. We'll just remove that whole bracket as a 10 millimeter. There we go. Now that whole thing moves out of the way. Ignition coils are held on with a 6 millimeter Allen. Just twist and pull out. Pull out our dipstick. I think that's it. Let's go ahead and pull off our valve cover fasteners. There should be 5 10 millimeter bolts. I'm gonna take a small rubber mallet and just tap on it. There we go. All right, we'll maneuver this out of the way. The valve cover gasket is just sticking to the head. There we go. And we're gonna do one side at a time just to help keep things clean. We wanna take a clean rag and on our mating surface, just wipe it nice and clean. We shouldn't need a scraper, just a nice little rag should be all we need to wipe our surface. We want to wipe from the inside to the out so we don't get all that grit inside the engine. Just wipe all the way around. If you do have a lot of grit, maybe your valve cover gasket's been leaking for a while, a lot of dirt buildup, you can take a vacuum and just get the heavy stuff first. Nice, that looks pretty good. Now let's prep our valve cover. I'm gonna pull out all the bolts. We're gonna replace these little grommets. I'm also gonna just wipe this off real quick, make it look a little better. Take the gasket out first. There we go. I'll be right back. All right, that's a lot better. And we can start by replacing these little grommets. We want to separate this metal washer with just an angled pick, kind of get in there and push this out of the way. There, and just separates like that. And then this comes up and over here. Sometimes these get a little brittle. We'll try to do it by hand first. If you're not able to do it by hand, I like cutting them. Just with a pair of side cutters. We'll get in there, cut it. And then we can just peel it away like that. So either way, whatever works best for you. Do the same thing here. There, perfect. Our new grommets came with new washers, which is pretty nice. So we'll just put this on, put it in our hand like this, and we'll squeeze just like that. And we'll just do this to all of them, nice and easy. Okay, now let's replace our spark plug tube seals. Let me flip it over. I'm gonna try to grab a hold of the lip this way, and we'll just push down on the screwdriver. Okay, that's not working. Just gonna use a little pry bar because it has an angle to it. Maybe that'll give me a little more leverage. Let me pull this center out. That's just what's breaking. There we go. Wow, that took a lot for mine to come out. Hopefully yours are a little easier. Yep, these are all just falling apart. Whew. There we go. Last one. Hey, finally. One came out nice and easy. Let's go ahead and clean this out. The good news is the new ones go in a lot easier. Now you can coat the outside with a little bit of lubricant. We'll just slide these in. They should pretty much go in by hand. If you need, we'll find a socket that size just around the perimeter and tap on it a little. Let's see out of my sockets which one's gonna be the right fit. Looks like 1.25 inches. Fits pretty good. Give it some taps. Put on the next one. And last one. All right, looks good. Let me turn this around. Now the gasket has little nubs on it. We want those nubs in the channel. That kind of locks it in place. Just lay it all in. All right, that's it. On our spark plug tube seals, I'm gonna put just a little bit of silicone paste as a lubricant. You can use silicone paste or just a little bit of engine oil, just to help it slide on a little easier. Just rub that around. All right, flip it over. Nice and easy, slide it in. Get it over our spark plug tubes. Gonna push down a little. Throw our bolts in. Now we want to hand tighten them first. Just get a few threads started. Just gotta find the hole. Doesn't always line up perfectly. All right, snug them down. Just a little at a time. Try to get it as even as possible. These are torqued to 8.7 foot-pounds, starting from the middle and working our way outwards. This top one here first, and the bottom, the other bottom, and then the outside. Nice, we can put our harness back. 2 bolts up here. These are just snug. Also got this little bracket bolt down here. Ignition coils. Now would be a good time to replace the spark plugs if you need it. These bolts back in. Now these are also just good and snug. Remember, they're going into aluminum. They don't have to be too tight. Plug them in. Got this little one here to plug in. Our dipstick. And by golly, I think the front is done. I'll top over and do the rear. So the back is just a little more challenging because you have to reach over, and this harness is kind of in the way a little more than the front. Over here we have a ground strap, 10 millimeter. On our power steering hose, if you go back, there's a 10 millimeter bracket back here. And then on the timing cover over here, we'll just pop this little harness out of its groove. There's a little slot in the plastic. We'll just pop that out. All right, we also have our ignition coil connectors, pinch and pull. Got that. Get our ignition coils out. Again, 6 millimeter Allen. Get our coils out. Now this little hose for our heater, you just kind of bend out of the way. No big deal. 10 millimeter for our harness. And then there's one more on this end here. This little green ring here, it has a little tab you want to push out. Pull that up, just like that. We'll undo our injectors, see if that gives us a little more room. Pinch and pull. And then this little retainer here, we'll see if we can get with just a little pair of pliers. Pinch the sides together, see if that'll pop out. There we go. Let me show you that a little closer. So it's just those 2 little sides we want to push in, and that unlocks it. So that's that one. And then this green thing in the back, it's this tab here. We just want to push it out. So in the outward direction, and then lift it up. Over on this side, if you follow the harness down, there's another little green retainer. We'll click that off and grab something to push on it with. Just my little pry bar to push while I undo that little lock. There we go. There. That gives us pretty much our maximum clearance that we'll have. Now we'll get our breather hose off. I think that's it. Let's start pulling it. So we'll vacuum around this like we did the front. Give it a tap. That metal bracket where this little green retainer was on, kind of getting in the way. So it's just a 10 millimeter holding that on. There we go. This will be quick because the procedure is exactly the same as the front. So we'll just wipe this down really good. And the valve cover prep will also be the same, so no need in repeating that. Well, let's throw everything back together. Just like the front, I got a little bit of lubricant on our spark plug tube seals. And as we put this back, we want to be very careful not to hang up our gasket on anything. It's a little tighter fit in the back here than the front. There we go, and I just feel around, make sure your gasket is still in place so it didn't get knocked out. That's it. Throw our bolts in. Sometimes finding the hole is a little tricky. Snug them down. 8.7 foot-pounds, just like the front. Put this bracket on here. Just snug is fine. Don't forget this back one here. This green one we'll just plug in. There we go. Put this one here. Gonna bolt our harness down. One over there and then one over here. Just snug. Got our ground strap here. We have the bracket for our power steering hose. That kind of fell down, so if you can't see yours, it might have fallen, just pull it up. Plug in our injectors. Plug this little harness in. Okay, got our PCV hose. Put that on. Get that clamp on. When you put these clamps back, just try to put them in the same spot they came off. You can kind of see the indent on the rubber. It's not hypercritical, but that hose is used to it being there. The ignition coils, put the bolts back in just snug. Plug those in. Nice, I think that's it. Double check everything. Perfect. Let's throw our manifold on. We'll pull these out. Wipe off our surface. New gasket wouldn't hurt. On our manifold on the bottom, we just want to wipe it off real good. Make sure it's nice and clean. The ports where like the EGR and stuff go in, want to make sure that there's no carbon on our surface. We'll just wipe that off. Give it a nice flat mating surface. Just wipe around this whole thing. You can use a little brake cleaner or solvent if you need. This isn't looking too bad. I'll drop it on. Make sure all your hoses and stuff are out of the way and not underneath it. Put our nuts on first. Our bolts are all the same size, so it really doesn't matter. Drop them in, get some threads started. We'll suck those down. These are 16 foot-pounds. It's kind of an interesting pattern, so I'll throw it up on the screen. All right, for this, do the same thing, just wipe it off. A nice, good mating surface. Throw our gasket on. Want to make sure the bottom of this is clean as well. Suck her down. These are torqued to 8.7 foot-pounds, starting from the center one, then over here, crisscross all the way out. All right, now we're just putting hoses and connectors back on. Since we're over here, we'll start with this one. Got our brake booster hose in the back. Let me swing you around. Put our lower coolant hose on. Put this little connector on here. Got our purge solenoid, just those 2 bolts. This hose up here, get those bolts in. Just snug. Let's clamp on. Got this little connector here, we'll put on after so it's not in our way. Got this coolant hose here. Throttle body connector. Got this little hose in that bracket, just on the side here. Just like everything else, just a little snug. Put this on. Make sure it's seated all the way. We'll put this little clamp on before this hose goes in. And we'll put the hose on. Nice. Snug this down. Now this can get plugged into the rubber. And then right here, and then plugged in the top. I'm gonna take a little bit of water and just clean that off where all the coolant spilt. Got my catch pan underneath, just to keep it clean. All right, one final look around. Make sure I didn't forget anything. Well, I think that's it. Let's go ahead and start it up. Sounds good. We'll put our cover on. We'll lock our tabs. Make sure the grommets are in. Nice, and we're done. All right, there you go. That's how you can place the valve cover gaskets on your Honda Pilot. All in all, not too bad. That back one is a little tighter than the front just because of that electrical harness. Other than that, the back is done exactly the same as the front. I'll have links in the description for all the parts and tools used. If you have any questions or comments, post down below. We'll see you on the next one.